There were 5 money habits I had to unlearn before I ever felt financially independent. And the wildest part is that none of them were about budgeting, cutting lattes, or becoming a math person. They were habits I had inherited without even realizing it. And these were beliefs that kept me anxious about money, afraid to look at my bank account, and constantly waiting or hoping for someone to just save me. And if you're someone who grew up thinking money is stressful, scary, or even bad, these 5 habits will change everything for you too. And if you're new here, hi, I'm Naomi. I create videos that help you rebuild your relationship with money from the inside out and get closer to financial independence. And since I had to learn all of this the hard way, I'm trying my best so that you don't have to. Because once I had learned all of these 5 habits that we're going to be talking about, my entire relationship with money, and honestly myself, completely shifted. So let's get into it. I had to unlearn avoidance. So, i.e., stop ignoring your bank account. I used to avoid checking my bank account as much as possible. And I'd let days, sometimes weeks, without looking. And every time I finally did, my stomach would just drop because I didn't like what I was seeing. But here's what I didn't understand at the time. It doesn't protect you at all. It just keeps you anxious. And there's actually a term for this. It's called the ostrich effect, where we intentionally avoid information because we're scared of what we'll see. And I lived in that state for years. But when you avoid your money, you avoid your power. And I didn't realize just how much that was costing me emotionally. So one day I forced myself to sit down, open my bank account, and just look at everything. I know it sounds dramatic, but it was that moment of forcing myself to do the thing that I didn't want to do that changed a lot for me. Because clarity, and even uncomfortable clarity, is peace. And that's when I realized money isn't just about math, it's emotional. And I want you to reframe the way you approach that. In terms of checking your money, don't think of it as a punishment. It's self-care. It's you telling your nervous system, I'm safe and I'm in control. And so here's what I started doing. I started checking my accounts every morning, even if I know I splurged too much on Amazon or grocery shopping. I forced myself to look at my bank accounts every morning. And I track my intake. I also built what I call a peace of mind fund. Even if it's just 1 month of my expenses, that brought me an insane amount of peace, just knowing that if anything were to happen, I would have at least 1 month of buffer time to figure my stuff out. And that one shift didn't just help my finances, it helped my anxiety. And it set up the next habit I had to unlearn. And that was needing to unlearn dependence. Meaning, stop waiting for someone to come and rescue you, because they're not going to. Literally no one. Not your mom, not your dad, not your brother, not your sister, not your dog. And once I stopped avoiding my money, I realized something that I didn't want to admit. And I was subconsciously waiting for someone to just handle it all. A future partner, a job, a raise, a scenario where someone or something would just save me. Depending on someone else is the most expensive debt you can ever carry. Something that I learned very young was that if you give someone the power to feed you, you also give them the power to starve you. And that was me. I didn't feel powerful enough with money, and because of that, I didn't feel powerful in life. And here's the truth, financial independence is not about luxury. It's not about being rich, but it's about having a choice. It's about having options. It's about having the ability to leave jobs you don't like, relationships, or environments that are just not good for you. It's freedom and it's dignity. When you rely on someone else financially, even slightly, the relationship becomes uneven in my eyes, emotionally, practically, and sometimes even physically. And financial independence doesn't happen overnight, but it starts with one moment, and that's the moment that you stop outsourcing your security. And yet, even after all this shift, there was still something else that was holding me back. And that was me needing to unlearn identity shame. So I needed to stop calling myself bad with money. And this might be the most important one, because for years I walked around saying, it's not my thing, I'm a big believer in your words create your identity. And so in this case, those words created my financial identity. And so if you believe you're bad with money, your brain just stops trying. It sees finance as something that's unachievable, that you'll never get, that you'll never understand, so why bother? And that it's outside of your capability box. And so you never end up attempting to get better. So I started swapping, I'm bad with money, I'm learning money, or I'm getting better every month, or I know enough to at least start. You are not bad with money. You are unpracticed, or you were simply never taught. And I believe money confidence is built in the same way that self-worth is built. And that's through repetition, through micro wins, through tiny actions that build your self-trust. And this shift set me free from shame. It also set me up for the biggest mindset shift of all. I had to unlearn performing for approval. So basically, I needed to stop making money decisions to be liked, loved, or chosen. For a long time, I made financial choices that I thought would make me look put together, fun, easygoing, mature. And I bought things to avoid judgment. I said yes to plans that I could not afford. And I tried to be the cool friend, the one that had it all together, and the supportive partner or the low maintenance person. And the truth is, most of us learn this really young, especially women. We're taught that being agreeable is often safer than being honest, that being chosen is more important than being stable. But a woman without financial independence is a woman without full power. I believe that wholeheartedly. And even if you're in a loving relationship, a beautiful home, and a great environment, financial dependence can still feel like a quiet prison. And that wasn't because someone controlled me, it was quite the opposite. I have an absolutely supportive partner. It's because I didn't know how to choose myself financially. And I remember one moment pretty vividly where I chose to go on a trip that I could not afford. But I didn't want to feel left out. I didn't want to have FOMO. And so I spent the whole trip extremely anxious, pretending I was fine, while my bank account was screaming at me, being like, hey, this is going on a credit card that you have no control over. And that's when it hit me. Every time you betray your finances for some sort of approval, you're chipping away at your self-trust. And so here's the shift that I made. I spend to honor myself, not impress anyone else. Buy things because you love them, not because you are seeking validation. And make your financial decisions based off of logic, not emotions, but also based off of your values and not fear. And because once you stop performing for approval, your money starts to become a tool and it provides peace. And the next habit ties perfectly into that. I had to unlearn waiting for the perfect timing. So basically stop delaying the life that you want. Now, I used to convince myself that I would start when I fill in the blank, when I got a better job, when I felt more confident, when I had more experience under my belt, when I earned more, or when I felt ready. But that perfect moment that I kept excusing myself of, it didn't exist and it doesn't exist. Independence starts with small steps. Waiting for the right time will keep you stuck in that same identity. And it's true, waiting kept me in survival mode. Not because I was incapable, but because I was scared and I chose not to change. And at some point I had to face the truth. I wasn't waiting for timing, I was waiting for permission, and I thought independence was gonna be some dramatic shift. One giant decision would magically change everything. But independence is quiet, it's gentle, and it's built in the tiny moments, like saving $20, learning one money concept, like stocks or some sort of investing, saying, I'm not gonna spend this month without guilt, and checking your balances without fear. And these small acts rewired my identity more than anything else I'd ever tried, especially the excuses that I was telling myself. And when I finally stopped waiting, I stopped feeling stuck because I started doing something and acting and forcing myself to do the things that I didn't want to do. And I started feeling like I was building something stable, something safe, and something that belonged to me. And so unlearning these habits didn't just fix my bank account, and unlearning these habits didn't just fix my bank account, it fixed the way that I saw myself, the way that I spoke about myself, and the way that I spoke to myself. And I became someone who doesn't panic at the idea of checking my money. I'm not waiting to be saved, whether consciously or subconsciously. I don't apologize for wanting independence, and I surround myself with people that are also very independent and understand the importance of that. I don't shrink myself to feel accepted, and I don't need a perfect plan to begin. Although it's easier to try and perfect one so that you feel like at some point you'll be safe enough and comfortable enough to do it. No, just do it scared and procrastinate quitting. And the craziest part is you don't realize just how heavy these certain beliefs are until you finally put them down. And when I stopped carrying guilt, fear, avoidance, and shame, I had space for clarity and confidence and calmness and independence. And now I want you to feel that too. So if you're tired of feeling stressed every time that you check your bank account, there's one small savings milestone that completely changes your financial confidence way more than you think. There's one small savings milestone that completely changes your confidence way more than you think. Feel free to click on this video where I go over what that exactly is and how to do that. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.